You're listening to the All Things Geekery podcast. This is episode 2 of season 3, Superhero Madness, and I'm your host, Detached.
Hey guys, and I'm Victus.
We want to welcome all our listeners back to the show, and if it's your first time with us, well then, we want to thank you guys for stopping in and joining us. We hope you guys enjoy this episode.
In this episode, we're going to be discussing all the upcoming hero movies coming out this year and what our thoughts are on each. So to start right off is a movie I have been excited about since it was released on trailer. Probably even more so than another movie coming out, Avengers, the next one, which we all expected, and that's going to be Captain Marvel.
And that's not a dude, just so everybody knows.
Not a dude.
Marvel is a female character of the Marvel Universe. There are a lot of fans out there, or quote-unquote Marvel fans, that saw the movie and they went, Captain Marvel? Who's this Captain Marvel? And it's a female. Well, I didn't know that there was a female superhero.
All right. Well, especially one that is, at least according to statements by Marvel themselves and producers, is going to be the most powerful character in the MCU.
Yes. If you are a fan and have kind of gone back and looked at some of the things and her powers that she has, she is basically marvelous.
Yeah, right.
really bad joke.
Yes, very, very bad. That was. Oh boy, let's end the podcast right now. I apologize on behalf, guys. I do. But yeah, no. I haven't been kept up with the backstory of Captain Marvel up until they announced that they were going to go that way. Like, I didn't even recognize her emblem at the end of Avengers Infinity War.
I did recognize the emblem, and it wasn't a surprise as much of it as was it really caught me off guard.
Right.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
Right. And so with it, without understanding that, they had to go do the research, but then, learning about the movie, especially when they announced the trailer and how they're going to portray this Captain Marvel, because I think we've seen a couple throughout the comic book, at least 2, maybe 3. I mean, there's been different reboots of Marvel Universe, so
yeah.
But with them announcing that it's the most powerful character, I do wonder where she's been. Like, the entire universe, or half the universe, was just basically wiped out. Yeah, we can use that term. We don't exactly know, were they officially killed, gone somewhere? Anyway, whole lot of theories. Where was she?
Absolute ton of theories out there right now. One kind of cool part about the movie, the timeline of what they're doing with this, it's going to be kind of interesting to see because it takes place in the 90s, and they're bringing back Agent Coulson. So that's going to be the first time that we see him in quite some time in the Marvel Universe. That's going to be an interesting little drop in the Marvel Universe again.
Right. Because we haven't seen him in the MCU.
No.
Since he technically died. Spoiler, he's alive.
Right.
If you go watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on TV. Because we haven't seen Coulson since that point in the first Avengers movie. And Nick Fury's been in and out of movies with small roles, I should say, especially they're dwindling down since the first Avengers, which probably was his most prominent.
Yeah, it has.
But this one looks to be besides Captain Marvel, it's going to be also Nick Fury as well.
Yeah.
At least according to the trailers.
Well, and if you saw the trailer, then getting a Nick Fury who does not have an eye patch on. That's going to be weird to see.
I wonder if he loses his eye in this.
Maybe. That would be kind of a cool tie-in.
Yep.
Also, they talked about Jude Law being in this one. I'm
Yep.
a I'm a big time Jude Law fan. I enjoy his acting, so that was kind of a nice little surprise when I saw the casting.
Yeah, for sure. As well, I'm a huge Jude Law fan. In all his recent movies, really, he's been excellent. So I hope they don't. Well, actually, they're going to have to kill him off. Uh, if you understand the backstory of Captain Marvel, is that uh, he is going to be playing the alien Marvel, Mar space Vell.
Technically,
So
Marvel,
yeah, Marvel.
Marvel.
Marvel is how you say his name. So he's it's there. It's in the comic books. We know it's going to have to happen. I mean,
Right.
if you go back, it's not a big spoiler there. I hope that they at least don't kill him off immediately. There's some backstory to him and why he's taken on this character, Carol Danvers, which is Captain Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
and shows why that all happens. So maybe they don't kill him off. Maybe they put a huge wrench into the, I wouldn't say wrench because that's a bad term, a huge change in the storyline that we've come to understand, and maybe he stays alive. Who knows? And her powers come from him in some other way.
Yeah, I'm really curious to find out how this all comes together. If you know any of the backstory whatsoever, then you guys probably know about the Kree. They're basically Imperial military militia, and yeah, there's a lot of backstory that goes on with all of Captain Marvel. That whole realm right there, I think, is going to be really cool to see. If you guys have never seen any of the comics from the old school days of what Captain Marvel looked like, the Kree and that whole, it's going to be pretty awesome to see on big screen.
Right. And I hope they go into some of the like understanding of how the Kree works. It seems like from the trailers we might, but even from Agents of Shield and I don't think they've been mentioned yet in really the MCU. Well, wait, no. Guardians of the Galaxy mentions them because, well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do.
the villain is Kree,
Right.
but barely. Not a full understanding of like their hierarchy, the how that universe's Kree works out to be. So, because they talk about it in the trailer, before Carol Danvers comes back to Earth, she is part of this elite squad of Kree warriors. So, yeah, it'll be. I hope they cover that and fully flesh out her origin story. Do like what they did with Captain America.
Yeah.
I mean, really, and show how she got to be where she was. Like, it needs to show her how she was, either taken or whatever happened to where she was introduced to the Kree, all through that, and then how she gets back. So, I would say this is my number 2 movie. Yeah, number 2 movie this year to look for heroes. Avengers being number 1.
Yeah, Avengers being number 1. This one's going to be a tough toss-up. I'm not quite sure if it fits in my number 2 slot yet. But depending on the rest of the trailers and what they do with it, they may change my mind. Captain Marvel was always one of my favorites. She's got some wicked powers. So I'm really curious to see how they bring that out in the movie and if we get to see them develop, because this is going to be an origin story of where she came from and how she got her powers. So I don't know if we'll get to see like full-fledged, she understands really how powerful she is and who she is, or if we get to see just a build and then we finally end up seeing her later on in one of the Avengers films.
Yeah, which is the reason why she's coming out before Endgame, because she is supposed to be in Endgame, so they had to make sure that her origin story was told. Some people have said that it might hurt Marvel to release them so close to each other. I don't think so, personally.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I think it was a pretty smart play. I think if you give it too much time, I think that would hurt it more.
Yeah, especially if you play into it like directly. Now there is an honest concern about fatigue,
Yeah.
about watching hero movies back to back to back. But I think so Marvel comes out March 8th, and then Avengers comes out April 26th. So that's a month and a half roughly of time.
Yeah.
I think that gives enough time to avoid any fatigue people have. Now there's other hero movies which we'll cover in just a second between then. So, but we'll see. I will probably stay away from any more trailers personally because I'm really avoiding the spoilerish of Captain Marvel and also Avengers.
Yeah, same for me. The trailer that was released as the teaser for Avengers was good as it was.
Yeah, it revealed nothing, as we covered in one of our previous episodes.
Yes, our previous episode that we did on Avengers really didn't cover it, and both of us were pretty ecstatic about that. So, yeah, same. Going to be kind of going blackout once we get a little closer to some of those dates. Yeah. Next up, you could call him a superhero-ish.
I think the term anti-hero comes in here.
Anti-hero definitely comes in here. We're talking about Hellboy, as they have rebooted the series. And I don't know if anybody on the podcast recently read anything or watched anything or saw the trailer. The trailer looks fantastic. And the lead character is one of my favorite actors as well, because he played the lead sheriff in Stranger Things.
Oh,
yep.
Nice.
So David Harbour is playing Hellboy, and they did a fantastic job with his makeup. The whole persona that he is bringing to the film, I think, makes Hellboy stand out so much more than the previous films.
Yeah, so I am an absolute huge fan of the 2004 Hellboy and its sequel. Some people may go against the sequel, that how it played out, but I just like Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman was fantastic as Hellboy.
All right, no matter what happened in the actual movie itself, I really liked him. Of course, that was okay. To be honest, that was my first introduction to Hellboy.
Okay.
So, that's I've kind of got a skewed sense of who Hellboy is. This is my first instance. I think if I would have gone back and first read the comic book Hellboy, maybe my view would have been a little different. Because a lot of people are saying, just like you, with David Harbour, and how they're portraying this Hellboy is really in line with the comic books.
Yeah, so the big difference between Ron Perlman's character and what he brought to the film versus what I think David is going to be bringing. Ron brought more of the gritty kind of slapstick humor.
Yes.
And that's okay, but that didn't portray Hellboy in the sense of what the comic books were. They were really gritty, hardcore comics. And this one, straight out of the bat, it's going to be rated R. So parents, beware. There is going to be language, gore, blood. There will be F-bombs out the yin-yang for this, because
Probably, yep.
Hellboy is known for dropping the F-bomb. And he's a big, devilish-looking creature with a large fist, and he likes to just pound the snot out of things with it.
Yeah. Like I said, because I've watched, and the 2004 Hellboy was my introduction, it's going to be somewhat hard for me to go into this movie. It seems like they already got humor introduced, because you can see that in some of the trailers.
Yeah, they do.
But it's going to be different. And for those out there with the comic books, I think you'll be delighted with the movie, just from comparing it to what I've read up on the comic books.
Yeah.
So
a lot of fans they're gonna, I think, enjoy this film. If you're a true Hellboy fan, I think this is gonna be along the lines of what the original comic books were. So now, I'm not giving anything away for the first two films, because I was a huge fan of those as well. Those are two of my favorites. But I'm really excited to see this one. This is definitely going to be a theater watch for me.
Yeah. And they kind of ended. I wish they would have taken Hellboy further, but maybe this is the restart. I mean, this is a reboot. Okay, so there's completely separate storyline. Maybe it might be a continuation. A storyline that we can continue out, because Hellboy, the character, has a lot of potential to do that, because you're talking about the mythos of monsters in the universe, and demons and hell, and everything that corresponds with that, all the different monsters. So
there's definitely a huge potential there.
Yeah, huge potential of story to continue on, to have multiple movies happen. So for the sake of that, I hope this movie does really well, and they nail exactly what happens in the comic book.
Yeah, excited for it for sure.
Yeah.
And we haven't said this, but if you guys are curious, the release date for Captain Marvel is March 8th of this year, and the release date for Hellboy is April 12th of this year. So they are coming up pretty darn quick.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're talking about it, and all the superhero movies happening this year. So it could be not so much a Marvel fatigue, just a hero fatigue that happens at the end of this year.
Everything is just, this entire year is slammed from around March all the way into the beginning of 2020. I mean, there's just superhero movies flying out left and right.
Yeah, and that's just stuff we've heard about so far.
Yeah. So tons of stuff coming out. This next film coming out, I was never a huge fan of this superhero by any means, but I did watch the trailer, and I really want to see the movie because of the comedy that was in the trailer. It looked pretty funny. And that character is Shazam.
Shazam! Oh, sorry, I just had to. Do that. I didn't change, unfortunately. I don't have the powers, but it's going to be... okay, whatever. So, I mean, up to this point, we've had Marvel. We've just had the Marvel dominating of movies regarding the ones we're talking about now and previous year. We've had one movie recently come out that I recommend to everybody that's not on the list, which is Aquaman from DC. Here's another one from DC that I hope is tied into the DCU, just because they really need to start tying that stuff together. They need to stop having these independent stuff. If the movie works, it works, but you're gonna get the Marvel effect. I think that's our already coined term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get a lot of the.
I mean, he's not exactly a Justice League member, but he comes in and out, and he can interact with them. But he's a unique character because of who he is. For all intents and purposes, he's a young kid that when he gets superpowers, he becomes an adult.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, he still has the mentality of a young kid.
He does. Right? Yes. So even though he can fly and has super strength and does all these crazy things, he has the mind of, I want to say the kid is maybe 13, 14,
yeah.
Somewhere in there. So he has that mindset. But he's large and muscular and, wears this crazy cape and has superpowers. Yeah. Now, the other funny thing I thought is Dwayne Johnson Rock is going to be in here. And that is going to be kind of interesting. I like The Rock. I just don't know how he's going to do as a superhero-ish villain.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, and Marvel people listening to this podcast will probably scream out that I'm wrong. Black Adam, which is what people have wanted, and Dwayne Johnson may be playing as.
Yeah.
Is kind of the arch enemy of Shazam.
He is.
If I'm not, okay. So maybe that can come later. Especially when you're introducing an arch enemy, you want to have your origin story first. Then again, they did introduce Red Skull with Captain America, so
that's true. So, but again, we're talking about DC. DCU
Yeah.
has not had a good performance with their movies, except Aquaman, which I still have not seen yet.
Highly recommend it. I want to go back and see it again.
Yeah,
It is up there. Um, it has gone back and forth between me deciding on if it's my favorite DC movie so far above Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman was done excellent job, very well done. Aquaman was done too, if not better than Wonder Woman, in my opinion.
yeah.
But I mean, talking about comparing, let's take those two. So let's take Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and compare them to what we think is going to be Shazam. It's going to be a complete change in how we've basically watched every single DC movie to this point, which has always been an overlaying dark theme to them, gritty.
Yeah, every single one of them up to this point.
Every single one, whether it's all connected together, every single Batman movie, whether it was the trilogy with, I was about to say his name and then just lost it.
Are you talking about the Dark Knight series?
Dark Knight.
You're talking about, now that you said you lost it, I lost it as well.
Right. But so it'll come to me later. But those were, extremely gritty. And then you have the DCU as it's built right now, which is Wonder Woman had some good points in it, but it was a gritty movie. Not as bad, but
it was a gritty movie.
Had a lot of dark points in it.
It did. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. It was really good. DC has had good points, bad points for me. You talked about Batman a second ago. I cannot think of the guy's name. I can see his face.
Yeah.
But you said Batman, and I have to know: are you a fan? Are you a fan of the more detective series of Batman, or are you more of a Dark Knight series?
I like the Dark Knight Batman.
I was always a detective series fan. Michael Keaton, best Batman ever made.
I mean, they have their different camps, right?
They do. They do for sure. Completely.
Well, my most watch is the Dark Knight trilogy that recently came out.
Yeah.
Of course, I watched the animated series, the different versions of, and the old Batmans. I mean, I grew up on them, but I loved Christian Bale,
yes.
Yeah, there you go. I'm looking at the page right now, so I cheated. Yep. The dark, that trilogy. But I mean, we've kind of taken a tangent here, but all of those gritty, everything, and coming back to Dark Shazam, it's supposed to be like, I expect to be like 50% of the movie is going to be just a whole lot of humor, right?
Yeah, I think Shazam is going to bring the lighter comedic side for sure. One kind of cool point about this is we wrap up Shazam. They've got Mark Strong in here as well. They've cast him as Dr. Thaddeus Savannah. And if you guys have watched any of the comic books, seen any of the comic books, Dr. Thaddeus is going to be kind of the villain. Now, they've also talked about Dwayne Johnson being in here as Black Adam. So that makes me wonder, are they going to have a super villain that we kind of get to see? And do we get to see a little bit of an origin story of Shazam? And are we going to see an origin story of Black Adam? And then we've got this other dude that Dr. Thaddeus comes in and plays. So
yeah, so you bring up Mark Strong, and it's going to be interesting to see how he usually portrays people. Yeah, there's been times when he can be funny and in kind of slapstick humor, but I have always when I see him, he does better in his tough. If he's a villain, he's very smart villain. Egotistical.
that's a good word for him.
Yeah, in the parts that he plays in the movies that I've seen him in. Now, I bet you there's movies that I haven't seen he does well in those areas, but just him and his persona that, I mean, we referenced Johnny Depp here. In all of his movies, he plays Johnny Depp in his persona, in his how he talks. They're all really the same. Okay.
Yeah.
It's with slight tweaks to fit the movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how he can maybe it's going to work. He'll be the opposite to how Shazam is with his. I think I'm all it now that I'm bulletproof and super speed and I can fly and all that, compared to when Dr. Savannah comes in. Is that how you say it? Savannah? Savannah. Okay.
Thaddeus Savannah.
Thaddeus Savannah. Thaddeus Bodog Savannah, according to Wikipedia. Anyway.
Yes, correct. Okay.
It could be an good, not mirror, but what's the term I'm looking for? Would be
no
opposite to Shazam. And shows how Shazam grew, and maybe we'll push Shazam into his area where he becomes a more mature hero that that Shazam in the comic books is.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool to see. Either way, I do want to see the movie. I don't know really where it fits in on my list yet. I would not say it is in top 10 yet. There's a lot of other movies that are coming out that definitely trump seeing this one in the theaters. But the release date for Shazam is April 5th of this year.
Right. Which, man, it comes out, and if it doesn't do well, then you have right behind it, you have Hellboy, which has a cult following behind it. And of course, Shazam does too with the DC people out there. But if it doesn't do well and can hold its own, it's going to get taken over by Hellboy in the theaters.
I think Hellboy is going to do really good.
Yeah, I think so too. But we'll see. Then moves on to we can go ahead and pretty much guess it, the king of the money making this year, Avengers Endgame.
Officially announced of Avengers Endgame.
Yep.
And that is pretty much what we know about the film so far. Is it has a title?
It has an Endgame, and there's going to be the characters we already knew that were going to be in it. Like we said, nothing spoiled in the trailer. A whole lot of theories out there about what's going to take place in the movie.
Yes. So a ton of theories. And for all of you movie watchers, but not quite the Marvel Universe fans out there, the Avengers Endgame is going to be wrapping up the very long line of Marvel MCU films.
Yeah.
So Avengers Endgame is called Endgame for a reason, and it will be the last big Avengers film. And I'm really curious to see how they do it. We've got Captain Marvel coming out before it. Avengers Endgame is going to be a pretty massive showdown. I'm really curious to find out what happens with everything. I really want to see Ant-Man do some stuff in the movie, as we saw in the trailer. You've got Cap looking at Black Widow going, "Is this a recorded feed?" And she goes, "No, that's our front door." And it's Ant-Man.
Yeah,
because he came out.
Apparently, he gets out of the quantum realm. Excuse me.
He gets out of the quantum realm, and tons of theories around that. So that really makes a lot of us fans wonder how many other things came out of the quantum zone, and who else was in there, and are some of these superheroes really dead?
I hope for. Now, I'm curious about your statement that you said it's going to be the final Avengers. Is it really going to be the final Avengers movie, or just the final Avengers regarding the current generation of Avengers?
Current generation of Avengers.
Okay. Yeah, they've outright stated that, especially when some of the people aren't renewing their contracts.
Yeah. So I know just right off the bat. I mean, 3 of the actors who have already said, "Hey, this is our last Avengers film." Tony Stark. So Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. Those 3 are pretty much already set. If I remember right, Hulk is another one. And
I wonder about that though. If they'll have they confirmed that he'll at least Okay.
No, there's not been a confirmation. The three that I know have been were, like I said, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. Those three have been playing those characters for 10 years.
Yeah.
Literally 10 years.
Yeah.
Crazy how long these guys have played these characters, and they could not have cast a better group for three of the original Marvel just superheroes.
Yeah, the staples of the Avengers starting off. But it does leave I hope with their transition there is a hint or a somewhat of a handoff to the next generation. If they do plan to do it, they could just stop it and not have the next, because we know in the comic books Iron Man's role does get handed off to another person. Especially recently, it was a young tech genius. I can't think of her name, but she adopts a kind of the mobile suit architecture that Iron Man does and takes
That's
over
cool.
the kind of the role that Iron Man does. Captain America, of course, Captain America brand gets picked up by several.
Yeah.
Rhodes. No, not Rhodes.
Well,
Hawk, I think picks up that Captain America.
Hawk picks up Captain America. Technically, the Winter Soldier was going to be taking, but
he does it for a little while.
He does it for a little while. Technically, if you followed the storyline of Captain America died in Civil War.
Yeah, in the comic books. Yes. Yep. So I hope there's a handoff. If they do continue. Now, if they don't, no big deal. We have a lot of new people that have either haven't been exposed to the Avenger area long or are sort of new, like bring in some people from the Guardians of the Galaxy into the Avenger fold, Ant-Man into the Avengers. Of course, he is going to be playing a bigger role, and we've only had 2 movies from him. So we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of Endgame to transition into the next season.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see.
And now we go to a movie that people are loving to hate on.
Dark Phoenix. Oh, and before we finish, release date for Avengers Endgame, April 26th.
April 26th. Mark it on your calendars. Take it off. It's a holiday. It's Marvel holiday.
And
let's go get in line and go see it.
Definitely.
But not the bad news.
Yeah. So I don't know how many of you are big fans of the X-Men. I always was. Dark Phoenix is a very interesting character. And as you probably know, it's Jean Grey. Jean Grey has a kind of an alternate personality, and it's the Phoenix. So this should be an interesting film for sure.
Yeah. So I was a fan of what they've done so far with the First Class group, how they kind of rebooted the X-Men with them.
I liked that.
Yep. So you had First Class, and then you had Days of Future Past. But then they hit Apocalypse, and
terrible movie. It's terrible. I didn't even finish it.
I wouldn't say it's terrible. I mean, I'll watch any hero Marvel movie through. But I think it was right before, or was it right after Logan? I can't remember. Anyway, Logan, fantastic movie.
Logan was amazing. Apocalypse, I think, came out right before it.
Yeah, but still, the way they did Apocalypse, the Thanos to the X-Men, you could say. Yes. I mean, he really was. He was the most powerful mutant to ever exist. They killed him off. Spoiler.
Yeah, they did a terrible job with him.
Just how it all worked out, really. And people are now, because the next movie in the line is now Dark Phoenix, which it's set up for Dark Phoenix and what happened in that movie.
They did. And I do like how they set it up. I say I didn't finish watching it. I actually did finish watching it, but it took me like 4 months to actually finish watching it.
Yeah. The storyline of Dark Phoenix is really good, and there's been some great comics around it in the different iterations of how the Dark Phoenix plays into the X-Men universe and Jean Grey and all that. The trailer I was not impressed with.
No, I didn't care for the trailer. It didn't really spark any interest for me. I liked the original X-Men films that they came out with. I thought that they did a great job with the origins of how they played all those characters together. I did like those. There were mixed reviews on all of those. Some fans really liked them, some didn't. I thought they did a great job with characters like Beast. You can't ask for a better Wolverine than Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
He is through and through. He is
Wolverine.
The character that played Cyclops, I cannot think of his name as an actor, but he was Cyclops from my childhood watching the X-Men cartoons.
Yeah,
his persona was the same, characteristics were the same. He was just as big of a douche in the movie as he was in comic. He was an absolute tool in the comic books.
But they're doing good with the new version.
They are
of the class, right? With the younger version that's coming up. Okay,
Magneto and Professor X, the actors that they've got in the new class, love what they did.
Yeah, could not have picked better people to play. Nobody thought you could replace
Patrick Stewart
as Professor X. Everybody's like,
or Gandalf.
Yeah, right. Or Gandalf as Magneto. People always thought that he's either Professor X or he's Captain Picard. Right? He's one of those two guys. Nobody can replace those two. So,
but they did.
They did, and they did it very well. He's the actors that are in there. James McAvoy for Professor X, and then you have.
Technically, we had another superhero movie that we could add with James McAvoy in here, and that is Glass, but it's already out, so I didn't put it on our list to talk about. But that's one that I really, really want to watch because I watched Unbroken. Is it Broken? Unbroken? Unbroken.
Yeah, Unbroken, Split, and then now Glass.
Yes.
But so call out to those movies, definitely. I've heard somewhat good things about Glass. People kind of have rose tinted about Unbroken and Split.
Yeah.
But Michael Fassbender is the new Magneto.
Yes.
Those two, they
Magneto.
really formed into their roles. It's just how the stories have been told about the movies that they've played in have not been up to snuff for the X-Men of what we come to expect from the X-Men. And we saw some taste in that in Days of Future Past, and then also in, I think the favorite one now is X-Men 2.
X-Men 2.
Yeah, is still probably the favorite out of all the X-Men's according to reviews and just if you talk to people. People are hating on Dark Phoenix. We'll see. We'll see if it does well. It's not looking good because we're seeing the same writers from X-Men Last Stand, right? Or do.
So
I think.
Well, I'm curious to find out what they do with it. They did talk about kind of a weird factor for this movie as well, mainly because I don't know, they're gonna bring the X-Men into space, and they're gonna have this strange story tie over. They end up, if I remember correctly, they're out in space, they're doing research and searching for something, and they get hit with a meteoroid or a asteroid.
We can suspect it's just going to be the Phoenix Force.
Yeah, the Phoenix Force per se, and Jean Grey ends up losing control of her powers, and the Dark Phoenix is birthed.
Right. Which is odd because we've already confirmed the Phoenix Force is in Jean Grey. I mean,
Yeah.
I,
So
I almost want to say that I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's something else. Something else triggers that because in the storyline, well, actually, in the comic books, if I remember correctly, it was Jean Grey has great power, and
right.
it was she.
Well, because Professor X saw
Yeah,
something in her that was different than the
yeah,
other mutants, and that was the Phoenix Force that he was getting a hold of and catching.
yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's not a priority for me to watch,
No,
but
I don't even know if I'm going to watch it in the theaters. It's not a high priority. They did say that Hans Zimmer's coming out of retirement to do the big you know score for the movie. That'll be kind of
yeah.
cool to see.
So on the bright side, it's going to have some great soundtracks.
The movie may be absolutely terrible, but the music is wonderful.
Yeah, I've enjoyed Hans Zimmerman's all of his what he's done for movies in
Oh,
regard to scores.
yeah, you can't beat anything that he does. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Next up's definitely a top 3 for me.
Release date June 7th, Dark Phoenix.
Yes, June
Okay.
7th, Dark Phoenix. Probably not going to go to it. But
Yeah.
this next movie, though, there's going to be a ton of people. Spider-Man Far From Home. And as we know, we get to see our, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man back in a pretty interesting storyline because he's kind of going on vacation to Europe and they're going to be in London. So that's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. But you're going to see people like Samuel L. Jackson. Nick Fury is going to be in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was really a strange play for a villain. Jake Gyllenhaal was cast to play Mysterio. But Mysterio is not a bad guy in this movie.
Right.
He's going to be a good guy.
As far as we can tell, he's going to play a monster hunter. Okay, whatever those things were. I think they're called elementals.
Elementals.
Yeah, I think people are pulling out because of what we see in the trailer of a earth one, a water one, air one, all of that.
But Mysterio was a bad guy.
Yeah, and maybe they'll play into that. Like we'll see halfway through the movie that this happens, and then he becomes the bad guy, or it sets up for him to be the bad guy. Like that's the next Spider-Man. I mean, Mysterio, though. I mean, to your point, though, he is a definite like staple bad guy of Marvel and just Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the arch enemies of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and he was all throughout the Marvel. Very interesting bad guy, and how they play
Fishbowl head.
Yeah, fishbowl head. I'm really curious to see how they play this in. Something else that I thought was interesting is the writers of Homecoming, or let me rephrase that: the writers who rewrote Homecoming to get it to the big screen came back to write this script. I loved Homecoming, so I hope that they bring some of those same elements that they did with Homecoming. And I also hope that Peter really finds out more of his skills and we get to see Spider-Man a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing they haven't done in this Spider-Man is they've skipped right over the tragedy that takes place with Spider-Man. For one, we didn't see the loss of his uncle so far. That we hadn't seen that take a toll on him, or even if it happened, right? We've only seen Aunt May.
And then this is definitely a different take on than any of the other movies. And we've seen how many reboots of the Spider-Man franchise now? We've seen The Amazing Spider-Man. We've seen
we're on the third now.
We're on the third. So out of that, the first two film franchises talked about the death of his uncle. And I thought the Amazing Spider-Man was okay. I was not a Tobey Maguire fan for Spider-Man by any means. The latest franchise for Spider-Man has definitely been my favorite.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Definitely, it calls back to the young teenage, that we saw in some of the comics, right?
Yeah.
He was kind of understanding himself, and the way they've tied in, like with Iron Man being his kind of father figure, where he's supposed to, he's learning from him and everything he does is really good. But it's interesting they've skipped over those dramatic events that happened to Spider-Man. For one, his uncle, haven't seen him, didn't even know if that tragedy happened. And two, the loss of his first girlfriend, which if you read the comic books, she was going to die anyway, but in attempting to save her, he kills her. Because in the comic books, and also you see this in Amazing Spider-Man, she's fallen down from a great distance, and he tries to save her with a web, hits her, but then hits her in the chest, whereas the sudden stop basically breaks her back. So that was a tragedy that affected him in the comic books, and of course in Amazing Spider-Man. We haven't, besides what we saw in Infinity War, and that was more affecting him physically because, well, he snapped away. We haven't seen him take on tragedy.
No,
right?
We haven't.
I say that though, but he did have a I'm going to use the coming to Jesus moment in so much of learning his true internal mental powers and understanding of who he is as Spider-Man when Iron Man took away his powerful suit, right?
Yeah,
that had all the fancy features, and he had to go back to his
He had to
hoodie
learn-
wearing and goggle wearing Spider-Man.
Yeah, he had to learn who he was. He had to learn what he was doing it for,
So,
which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, agreed. This is going to one I know is going to be extremely popular. I hope they nail and have a good, solid bad guy in this one. I hope it's not just the elementals. I hope in some way Mysterio does become the bad guy, however they have to twist that. Maybe it showed him to be the quote-unquote good guy, but then he's really the super villain in the movie. It was just something out of control that he wanted to become popular, right?
Yeah, but you said Jake Gyllenhaal, and instantly I don't like the character. I'm not a Jake Gyllenhaal fan. I never have been. He's just not a good actor to me. So we'll see what happens. Very curious. I do like the fact that Nick Fury is going to be in there.
Yeah, and the modern Nick Fury, he's going to be the one,
Yes.
So, release date July 5th.
July 5th.
So go get your fireworks done. Take the next day. Go see some Spider-Man. That's American pastime right there.
Yeah, it's definitely American pastime. Watch Spider-Man, blow things up.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
Then we have August 2nd, The New Mutants. And I'll be honest, I haven't kept up with this one.
This is an interesting one. New Mutants is not a popular comic line. It's one of those kind of secondary lines out there. Now, for the hardcore fans, they probably keep up and know what's going on. I wasn't a huge New Mutants fan. So what I do know is the New Mutants are basically they're kind of a secondary line out of the X-Men universe. So they are around a group of young adults, young mutants, and they are a little bit on the darker side in the comic. They have kind of a horror-esque theme back in Marvel's kind of let's go try some different things and let's test some stuff out. That's kind of how these guys were birthed. So James McAvoy is rumored that he's going to make an appearance in the film. That's going to be kind of interesting to see how they play that. I wasn't really impressed with the trailer on this because it looks more like a horror film.
Yeah. I'm wondering that as well, how this is going to play out with what people have come to expect from hero movies.
Yeah. Yeah, the trailer really made this seem like they were in an insane asylum, and they were really just battling against their own selves, trying to figure out, one, what they were, who they were, and where they were at. So, I don't know, it seemed as though the director really focused on the horror aspect, the jump scares, the really dark tones in the movie, and like that gritty, the nitty detail that you see in some of those horror films. So, not on my top 10 list to go watch by any means.
It'll be interesting how this one does, because I can expect this one. I don't know if it's got a rating yet, but to really pull off horror, you need to like be broaching that PG-13 rated R area. Now you can do it with just scare, a lot of jump scare, and that doesn't necessarily need to be rated R. But to really pull off that, you need to be, approaching that line of what, what's in a movie.
Yeah. Well, and so one thing that really makes me leery about movies like this is Fox pushed the release date of this once already. It was supposed to come out early of last year, April, March timeframe, and it got pushed. It took over a slot for a movie coming up. One of my favorite characters of all time, Gambit. They are making a Gambit movie, but there was never really any explanation of why Fox pushed this movie. So to me, that means, hey, we've got a bad script. It's not functioning like it's supposed to. We don't feel like it's doing what we want. So maybe they brought a group of writers in to rewrite the thing. I don't know, but that really makes me leery for movies like this.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. Like I said, I didn't even have it on my radar to watch or look at. Talking about it, I maybe saw the trailer. I mean, they have a trailer for it, don't they? Right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so I think I've seen it once, and I didn't even know what it was for. It was like, oh, I'm not a huge fan of horror personally, movies. So I just kind of like blew it off. I didn't even know it was a Marvel.
Right. When you see the trailer, there's no mention or right off the bat that it's going to be a Marvel film. You think you're watching a preview of a horror film.
Yeah. We'll see. Release date, I think we called that August 2nd.
Yes, this one's going to be August 2nd. So, there's going to be a few movies out of this list in here that definitely are not in my top 10, and probably same for you guys, probably not in your top 10 as well. The New Mutants is definitely not in mine. And the next one is probably just as weird. So,
yeah, I don't know about this next one. Like, everybody's kind of liking it in its own unique way.
Know how I feel about this movie, and the release date is later this year. It's October 4th for Joker. So they have remade a Joker storyline with Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker. Now, I really like Joaquin Phoenix. He is an amazing actor, but the trailer that I've seen of this is a really, really version of Joker. I'm not quite sure how I feel or even understand what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, I mean, the Joker I grew up with was this ambiguous origin character. Okay, he just existed, and as what is Wayne's butler's name? I can't think of it. Why we keep forgetting these names? I see it and then it's gone. Anyway, he makes the comment in the Dark Knight movie, some people just want to watch the world burn. And that is the epitome of what the Joker is. He
Yes.
really has no goal but to just cause chaos, whether it be for whoever. He could stab his allies in the back if it meant just causing chaos for whatever reason. Alfred, thank you. Alfred makes that comment.
Alfred Pennyworth. There we go.
I wasn't going for the last name, but I'll take the first name. And with how they're going to portray this Joker, and maybe, from the trailers, it shows somewhat of the same characteristics. I don't know. I've liked the Joker so far. People could say the Suicide Squad Joker was, they didn't like him. His craziness and just, he still embodied that, I just want to watch the world burn. And it was also because you still didn't know his origin. I think that's what's been so unique about Joker, is you've never known his origin. You've never known what's driven him. Okay. Yeah. And they're going to try to touch on this in this movie. And I think it's like, that's kind of taboo. Need to watch out. I don't know.
Yeah. So if you pay attention to any of the news that's out there going on, basically the extended universe of DC, Warner Brothers is kind of doing a second arm off to the side. They're going to be making some one-off movies, adaptations of these characters, and this is the first of those films, Joker. Yeah. So the whole plot line and storyline, here's the funny thing, this movie is directed by Todd Phillips, and if you know who Todd Phillips is, he directed movies such as The Hangover, and that has nothing to do with gritty crime movies with super bad guys in them.
Right.
So I'm really curious to find out what this movie is going to be about. Basically, it's going to be set in the 1980s. They talked about it being a gritty crime spree. So I don't know. This could be a really strange film, or it could be pretty darn awesome. We'll just have to really see.
And it's going to be hard to watch a Joker movie without Batman. It really is.
Yeah, that's another piece that I don't know how I feel about. Those two play hand in hand together.
Right.
If you have Batman, you have Joker. If you have Joker, you have Batman.
As the Joker from The Dark Knight said, Joker is the unstoppable force to Batman's immovable object, or vice versa. They're the exact opposites of each other. And that's why they play so well in every iteration that we've seen where those two are together.
Yeah.
We didn't see it in Suicide Squad, but he had, there was other members there, so it completed the movie. We saw it in the comic book. We see it in every comic book, every animated TV show. We've seen it in the games and how well they go together. And we've seen it in The Dark Knight, which is, I don't know, Mark Hamill does pretty good Joker in both the games and the animated TV series.
Mark Hamill is my favorite as far as the voiceover Joker.
Right.
You cannot beat Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah, you cannot. I mean, that, in the understanding of who Joker is, Heath Ledger, nailed it.
Now, not taking anything away from Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson played a fantastic Joker for the detective series. He nailed that character.
Right.
Joker for the Dark Knight series, you will never be able to do anything from a Heath Ledger standpoint.
Yeah.
Jared Leto played a very strange Joker. It was like watching a rap artist who made way too much money with gold bling on his teeth and the gold chains, and he became a street thug drug lord. It was so odd watching Jared Leto play this weird looking Joker in the Suicide Squad. I still have not been able to piece everything together in the Suicide Squad. It's so hard to watch.
You recall that, and maybe it's the makeup that we've seen of Phoenix so far in his character. 'Cause I don't know that I've seen a picture of him with the telltale purple hair, red, wide mouth makeup of Joker.
Yeah.
It's a clown I've seen so far.
That's all I've seen is a.
So
it looks
maybe
like
that's what's funny. Maybe they'll change that and the movie's going to be fantastic and I'll love it. Okay.
I
But
don't
I don't
know.
know. Yeah, I don't know either.
This one's really far out on the list for me as well. And as you guys know, the farther we get down the list, the more like we are on some of these movies.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Extremely on there. When they announced it, I was like, "Oh, a Joker by itself movie, great!" And then they revealed the trailer. I was like,
Ew.
"Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh
Well,
okay."
plus they wanted Leonardo DiCaprio to play Joker originally. That's who Warner Brothers was going to go after, and yeah, that was an absolute no for me.
Yeah, I don't know how DiCaprio could have pulled the Joker off.
Yeah, that's just not him as an actor. He
I
does
don't know.
not. No, Joaquin Phoenix to me is not a Joker either, but he's an amazing actor. So I'm really curious to see how he plays this part and what he brings to the film.
Yeah. So if you're interested, go check out the trailer on that. See what you think. You can read up on it, but it's going to come out the towards the end of this year, October 4th.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, we're going to
Yeah.
briefly touch over some future movies. We won't go into detail of discussing them as we had the previous ones because they're pretty far out. They're a whole year away or more, so
Yeah.
stuff could change. Their updates and even just release dates haven't been announced for some of these.
Some of these
Yeah.
don't even have release dates, no. But
Yeah.
I think right off the bat, we've got 3 kind of honorable mentions here that are coming to the screen that actually have release dates, but they're for 2020, not 2019.
Yeah. I mean, right. So we have talking about Suicide Squad. We now have the building of Birds of Prey.
Yeah. I'm actually excited about this. I was not a huge fan of Suicide Squad in the comics. I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, but I didn't dislike it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this one has a little bit of anticipation. This one's Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Hmm.
And the release date for that is February 7th of 2020.
I really do. I mean, this is another DC movie coming here. We've talked about DC movies. I really hope they start turning that around. I mean, after Justice League fallout of the bad animation and just what happened in that movie altogether, because it was storyline, it was meh, and then overshadowing that was the awful lip CGI of Superman. Really,
Ew.
and that's what everybody talked about. They didn't talk
Yeah.
about anything else in the movie but that. So it kind of, overshadowed that. They really need some DC movies, and they started that with Aquaman. They just need to keep it going.
Yeah.
In bringing those back so people have some confidence in the DC movies. So I hope Birds of Prey does that. Next one on the list is one that I know you're excited about. I'm
Yep.
excited about, and that's Gambit, March 13th, 2020. They haven't picked an actor out for this, right? Or have they?
Well, it's rumored Channing Tatum is playing Gambit.
And I hope he does.
Confirmed anywhere. But if he plays Gambit, I'm all aboard.
Yeah.
I think Channing is an interesting actor. He's not one of my favorites, but he is an interesting actor. Loved him in the G.I. Joe series. Plays a great part. He's honestly a pretty versatile actor.
Yeah.
He's done comedy. He's done action. He's done drama. I think he's really good in the things that he's acted in. So we really have no idea what this movie is going to be about, what it could bring to the film. You Marvel freaks out there know how awesome Gambit is and what he can do. So hopefully they don't CGI the crap out of this movie. Hopefully they do some cool stuff with live action and make it worth a watch.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be one that I hope once they actually announce a trailer, we'll know it's solidified. But they've been keep pushing this back and talking about it. So my excitement for it is great. My hopes that it will actually be on this date is low at this point.
Yeah, at this point, there's absolutely nothing confirmed. In fact, there's even a bit around the whole Disney and Fox deal.
Yeah.
So if Disney ends up, divvying up money to buy out Fox, then this film could go bye-bye real quick, because this is a 20th Century Fox financed movie, or on the books for
it. Currently, yeah.
Currently.
Could completely change.
Yeah, quickly.
But
last up on our list of 2020 films is Wonder Woman 1984. And we really have no idea about what this movie could bring to the film. We don't know what the plot or anything like that is. Pretty interesting that they've got a second movie for Wonder Woman coming out. I really enjoyed the first one. I didn't think that they were going to plan a second one. So that they've got one in the books, I'm pretty excited for it, actually.
Yeah, and how well they did with the first Wonder Woman, because it's supposed to take, same actors in it. I hope they continue with what they accomplished in Wonder Woman into 1984's Wonder Woman. So,
yeah,
June 5th, 2020.
Yep. June 5th, 2020.
And then we come to the ones which have been talked about. No release date yet, so a lot of this could change. First one on the list is a standalone Black Widow movie.
I know there's lots of guys that just got really excited.
Yeah, lots of people just got really excited at having that. If they bring back
only
if they bring back Scarlett Johansson, because she is Black Widow.
There are no other female characters that can play Black. I mean, if they cast anybody else, it's like just burn the movie.
Yep. Yeah, because she, as with every other character solidified in the Avengers, she is Black Widow.
Yeah,
they could go something different. We'll see. But again, no announcement date. Then we go into Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one. Again, kind of an interesting, story. The Suicide Squad are all bad guys. They're DC's villains who turned Hit Squad to
by force.
by force. So they kind of did a good act by being forced to do bad things.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I think the last one they had bombs implanted in their head or something, so they click.
Yeah,
boom, if they didn't do what they were told. So we'll see if they actually can redeem themselves from what happened in Suicide Squad 1 in 2. A lot can change with that. And last on the list is one I am personally, just because it's been announced, excited about, The Flash. I'm a huge Flash fan.
I love The Flash. So I'm a big Flash fan. My kids love Flash. We love the TV show. I've enjoyed Flash for a lot of years. I really hope they do this one right. This has a lot of potential.
Yeah, and with the actor that they have picked with the DCU, because we currently have a Flash that I watch on the TV show universe, The Flash,
and he does an amazing job.
He does of that iteration of the Flash. This one is taking more of the young, still understanding his powers Flash.
Yeah, so more the kid.
His dad's still in jail as far as we know up to this movie, so we're probably going to see an origin story here, sort of, in so much of him really getting adopted to the Justice League and him understanding his role in his area. But
yeah,
big lineup.
No dates on those last three, but superhero madness in 2019. There are so many movies coming out, and this isn't even everything. We just took what basically top 10, 15 movies that we really kind of excited about, and some that have some really interesting potential but could possibly flop.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say 50% of this, like we talked about 2019, I'm going to be in movies watching, especially all the Marvels, DC ones. I think Shazam might be my only one I go and watch in movies. Going back to the list here, did I forget anyone? Nope. Except for the New Mutants, I won't be. But yeah, Shazam would be the only DC I'll watch in theater.
Yeah, Shazam will probably be the only one in theater that I watch from DC. Of course, Marvel Avengers, definitely got to watch that. I'll end up going and watching Hellboy. Huge fan. Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Yeah. The others are questionable right now. Spider-Man, I'll definitely go see. So, Marvel just does a better job on their movies. DC has a lot of play and catch up to do.
They have a lot of catch up to do. I hope they do. For the sake of everybody that is a comic book fan, I hope that they do.
It's not that DC's bad either. Mm-hmm. They have some amazing characters. But
Wonder Woman and Aquaman are evidence of that.
Wonder Woman, Aquaman, I mean, look at what they've tried to do with Superman. You know, Henry Cavill plays an amazing Superman. They just have not done a good job with the
stories.
Movies. Yes. Yeah, the stories just have not been good yet.
Yep.
So, unfortunate, because Superman was always one of my favorites.
Yep.
So, well, guys, that wraps up our crazy superhero episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for listening and supporting our content. We really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. And we're glad that you guys continue to listen to our podcast. We make this because we enjoy it, and for you to enjoy it and agree with us, disagree with us, just listen to us ramble on about content. But if you did enjoy this episode, be sure to stop by and check out the show on iTunes, Spotify, or our website at allthingsgeekery.com. Don't forget to subscribe and drop us a review. Let us know how we're doing. We definitely want what you guys think of the podcast. We're always open to suggestions, topics, whatever it may be. And you can connect with us over on Twitter or our Instagram page, and those links will be in the notes below.
Yeah, and if you guys have anything that you want us to cover, specific topics or anything, just let us know. You can shoot us an email over at podcastatg@gmail.com. Well, guys, that wraps up this podcast. Thanks for joining in. And as always, you guys stay awesome, and we'll see you in the next episode.